When the public thought the situation was starting to subside, the latest news caused a stir. New speculation has emerged that there are internal tensions related to the handling of this crisis. Collision alleged non-compactness. Within the agency, the debate is heating up after the death of netizens. There are differences of opinion in the handling of the issue. Perceived slow response is not without reason, and internal communication is called not running smoothly, although there is no official evidence yet. This issue immediately went viral. Brain netizen. No wonder it looks slow. Public comments are getting sharper. If there is a lack of internal communication, it is normal to be confused. It's not just about the artist, it's about the system. It should have been clear from the beginning the direction of communication. A stronger position in the middle of all this. It is considered the most consistent. Its clarification is considered the fastest step, and many call it saving the situation. A great risk, for if the issue continues to grow, agency image can be increasingly eroded, public confidence is falling, and internal reputation come into question. Hourglass not done. Increasingly unpredictable situation. The latest developments show the issue has not been completely resolved, opening a new chapter, and it's getting harder to control direct hit impact. To industry, this case is starting to become a big example. The importance of crisis communication, the role of agencies in protecting artists, and the impact of the response is not solid. Fire conclusion. This controversy is now leveled from individual issues being suspected of internal agency problems and spark wider discussion. Now the public is waiting with tension. Backhand index pointing right, whether to refute or clarify, or let it grow into a bigger scandal that's going to explode. Internal crisis exposure phase. Alleged conflict revealed. Names increasingly highlighted. The already hot situation has now turned super hot. After the issue of internal tensions, a new wave of bolder speculation has emerged. Internal crisis exposure phase in which alleged internal problems begin to be exposed to the public. Collision alleged cracking of management. The conversation becomes more heated. Called there are differences between the management strategy. Some parties want to quickly clarify, others hold back, and this is thought to be the reason why the response looks inconsistent. Brain netizen. It's already broken public opinion. Goes to extremes. It's starting to look like the real problem. It's not just a tax issue, it's an internal agency issue. If so, this is serious. Magnifying glass. Tilted left position actually strengthened in the midst of chaos. It is considered a professional permanent knot to complicate the situation and stay focused on personal clarification. Many judge. Backhand index pointing right. He actually looks stronger than the system behind him. Greater risk of scandal if the issue continues to grow. Could face a major reputation crisis. Public confidence could fall dramatically, and the impact could spread to other artists under their auspices. The situation is getting out of control. Current speculation continues to grow. Public pressure increases, and yet no statement has really stopped it all. Direct hit danger point. This is a dangerous phase because the issue could turn into a major scandal. The public narrative could become permanent, and recovery will be much more difficult. Fire conclusion. The internal crisis exposure phase indicates that the crisis has widened into not only about the outside, but also internally, and the situation becomes much more complex. Now the big question hangs. Backhand index pointing right, whether to immediately temper this issue with a strong clarification, or rather let it all develop into the biggest scandal on their way. Continued critical control or collapse phase. Fantajo on the verge of control. Cha Eun-woo remains the center of stability. The situation is now entering a very sensitive phase, where the final direction is really determined by the next step. Control or collapse phase. A phase in which the agency must choose between controlling the crisis or facing greater repercussions. Public pressure reaches a new peak. The latest developments show demands for clarification are getting louder. The media and the public continue to highlight Fantagio. Space for silence is almost non-existent. Public perception begins to lock in. Now opinions are beginning to form. Slow response is considered a weakness. Allegations of internal problems increasingly trusted by some of the public, and the narrative begins to be difficult to change if it is not dealt with immediately. Cha Eun-woo's position remains strong in the midst of pressure. It remains to be looked at professionally. His clarification is still the main public reference, and its image is relatively stable compared to the surrounding situation. Risks if not controlled. If there are no decisive steps, the crisis could develop into a long-term issue. Fantagio's image could be permanently affected. Public trust is difficult to restore. The moment of strategy. The awaited now. Will there be a thorough clarification? Will the agency show open support? And will there be a change in the approach to communication? Current situation pressure is at a high level, public waiting for certainty, and the final direction is almost formed. Conclusion: control or collapse phase is the most crucial point. One step can ease the crisis, one mistake can aggravate the situation for Fantajo and Cha Eun-woo. This phase will determine whether the situation can be controlled or it develops into a bigger crisis. Advanced decider. Decisive action phase. Fantajo's real move is key. Cha Eun-woo remains in the spotlight. The situation is now moving to the next most decisive phase. Decisive action phase. A phase in which it is no longer words, but real actions that determine the final direction of the crisis. Pressure turns into a demand for action. The public is no longer waiting for public statements. What is requested is a concrete step, clarity of attitude from Fantajo, and proof that the situation is really handled. Highlights on the real move, which is now noticed by the public. Is there a more detailed official statement? Does the agency show open support to Cha Eun-woo? And is there any change in the way of communication? Cha Eun-woo's position is still stable in the midst of a lawsuit. He is still considered to have carried out his responsibilities. Its image is still relatively strong and become a balancing factor in the situation. Risks if there is no action. If this phase is not responded to appropriately, the public will lose confidence, negative narratives will strengthen, and the crisis can continue much longer. Final momentum to control the situation. This phase is considered last chance to correct perception, a moment to show professionalism, and a turning point towards stability. Current situation: high pressure turns into real demands. The public is waiting for action, not promises, and all steps will be assessed in detail. Conclusion: the decisive action phase asserts that the crisis cannot be solved by silence. Real action is key, and time is decisive for Fantajo and Cha Eun-woo. This phase will determine whether the situation can really be controlled or continues to drag on. Continued suspenseful ending. Resolution execution phase. Fantajo's decision comes into view. Cha Eun-woo's fate is determined. The situation is now entering its most real phase. The resolution execution phase, the phase in which decisions are not only planned, but begin to be executed and their impact is visible. Signs of execution began to appear. The latest developments show the direction of handling began to look clearer. The steps began to be noticed by the public, and the narrative slowly begins to change. Focus on action, not speculation. The public now sees: is Fantajo really taking concrete steps? How they manage communication and the extent of Cha Eun-woo's support. Cha Eun-woo's position remains balanced in the execution phase. Image is stable, considered to have done the important part first, and remains a factor mitigating the situation. Impact begins to be seen, the effect of the measures taken. Public pressure began to decline slightly. Discussions began more purposeful, and speculation is slowly waning. Risks still exist, although beginning to stabilize. If the pace is inconsistent, the crisis could return. If communication is unclear, speculation can arise again, and trust is still in the recovery stage. Current situation execution phase in progress. The public continues to monitor, and the final result begins to take shape. Conclusion: the resolution execution phase is the final proving phase. From plan to action, from pressure to real results, and from crisis to settlement for Fantajo and Cha Eun-woo. This phase will determine whether all the previous steps really succeed in ending this controversy in its entirety.